what we're here to do is basically to sort of connect you with the wider support services that are available at the university, and as a previous speaker was saying, there's many of them. You might not necessarily know what support services you'll need right from the outset, but it does become apparent as you study. We also advise about immigration. My team in the office, there's 6 of us, I should say. Each one of us is trained in UK visa and immigration legislation. It's complicated, in case you haven't already noticed. But we are here to try and help you negotiate your way through it. The other thing that we do is international student welfare and support. So again, as I say, connecting you to the different services that you might need. So, top 5 practical. There's been some great tips there by the previous speakers. Completing your matriculation is essential, getting your student card, making sure you've met your personal tutor, making sure that you're formally a student at the University of Edinburgh is very important for a number of reasons, including making sure you don't get charged for council tax, that you can register with a doctor, that you can open a bank account, all these sorts of things. The biometric residence permit, I have to apologise on behalf of the UK government this year. They've brought this in several stages, so we have a lot of students who are quite confused about this. So if you've got a visa in your passport, which is enough time for the whole of your programme, then you don't have to get a biometric residence permit. If your visa in your passport looks like it's only for a few weeks, then you will have to get a biometric residence permit, and you should have a letter, hopefully, from the embassy that gave you your visa, that gives you the address to go and collect it from. Opening a bank account, quite often easier said than done. There's usually a lot of queuing involved. But if you live in university accommodation, you should be able to go on to your MyEd site, print off your bank letter, take it with your passport to one of the 6 banks that are listed, 7 actually this year, and take it along to one of those branches. I'll be very honest with you, the vast majority of banks will probably offer you a very, very similar kind of account at this particular stage. So I think our best advice is the one that will open your account is probably the best one to go to. They're all very close to the university. Registering with a doctor is very important. As international students in the UK with a Tier 4 visa, or as European Union nationals who are living here, you're entitled to free medical care from the National Health Service, and your access into that is to register with a doctor. The way that this is normally done is that you go along to any doctor's practice. It doesn't have to be the university one, though that is quite a good one. It's very central. Fill out a couple of forms. Normally you have to go back for a short appointment afterwards, but once you've done that, then you'll be registered and won't have to pay anything for your healthcare. And finally, police registration. Quite often we get asked this because we have it on all our leaflets. It's because if you don't manage to do it, then it is a bit of a problem. But only a small number of nationalities actually have to do that. And if it's in your passport that you must register with the police, then that's what you must do. If it doesn't say that on your visa, then you don't have to register. It's as simple as that. Top 5 visa things. I'll just very quickly sort of go through these. It's worth mentioning at this stage. European Union students, welcome. You're welcome to move into this country, move around it, move out, and so on, without needing any kind of visa. We'll see how the referendum goes in 2017 about EU membership as to how long that lasts, but hopefully a lot longer than it already has. The biometric residence permit, again, once you've got one, keep it with you. This is going to sound quite difficult to say, but don't lose it, because it's very difficult to replace. And when you travel outside of the UK, take it with you, because it's the evidence that you have that you've got a visa for the UK, and the immigration officer will expect to see it. Any changes that you make on your programme will probably affect your visa, so it's very important to say that, whether that's a change in the subject, whether that's a change in time, so if you finish much earlier than you're expecting to, it doesn't necessarily mean that the visa will run until the expiry date. So keep in contact with us if you do make changes on your programme. It's really important just to get the right immigration advice at the right time to avoid any problems. And if I can give sort of one tip, quite often at this time of year, we meet new students who would really like to work or stay in the UK after they've studied. The best advice that I can give anybody is that there's not a huge number of work categories for post-study work, as it were. There is one for PhD students that gives a year in the UK called the Doctoral Extension Scheme. We help people make these applications. But beyond that, moving into some of the work routes is quite difficult. and it's probably only going to get increasingly difficult as this government's agenda unfolds over the next few years. So look into your work options early. Use the career service, come along to talks, prepare yourself with information. When you go to interviews and so on, know what you have to say to the people that are interviewing you about your visa status. We can help with that. We run workshops on how to explain your visa status, so look out for that from our information. Top 5 living. Before I wrap up and hand on to my colleague from ELTC, I think the other speakers really hit the nail on the head. Get involved in activities. It's not just about your studies. It's very important to have a good balance. Staying active is very, very important. Making sure that you sort of drag yourself out of the room when it does get colder and darker. It will do. I don't think you can believe me, but after a day like today, but just look at yesterday. That's pretty much November to January for us. Prepare for winter. I think this is sort of something we quite often say in jest, but we do actually genuinely mean it. Making sure you've got the right clothes, making sure you don't get wet on the way to university because it's difficult to dry off. Making sure you take half an hour out of your day just to go outside, because the daylight does start to fade between November and February. The best advice that we can give you is to sort of make sure you get some, I was going to say sun, but you might not get sun in December, but make sure you get at least some daylight for about half an hour every day, some fresh air and so on. That can really help. Enjoy the summer. The flip side to being cold in the winter is you probably won't be able to sleep in the summer. The nights are very, very long. The sun doesn't usually go down till about midnight and comes up again at 4 in the morning. It's quite annoying when you're trying to sleep. But certainly enjoy it, and the areas that was pointed out before are definitely great places to spend time, and a lot of students do. Try and make local links while you're here. It's very easy to kind of get caught up in the university bubble, to spend your time studying, to spend your time with other students and so on. But if you can find a way to get involved in a local activity here, whether that's sort of a charitable endeavour or even a part-time job and so on, that kind of contact is really useful for finding out little bits and pieces about living here, the perspectives of people who live here and so on, and just maybe give you a bit of a richer experience. And finally, and probably most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help. We're always going to be open to any questions that you have. We can usually find someone that can answer them if it's not just us. So please feel free to get in touch with us. Make the most of your time, I think, as the other speakers were saying. So this is how to find us. There's some information on this stand just over here at the side of the stage with our contact details and so on in it, and a list of things to maybe do from now. But on that, thank you very much indeed for your attention, and hope you have a great time here in Edinburgh. Thank you.
So your final brief talk will be from the English Language Teaching Centre from Kathryn.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for managing to stay this long. This is the last talk, and then you can have lunch. Okay, my name's Kathryn Redpath, and I'm from the English Language Teaching Centre. If you were at the event on Sunday, maybe I saw you there. Okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Okay, so we are the English Language Teaching Centre, ELTC, and we're based at Patterson's Land, which is in the Holyrood Road campus near the School of Education. Okay, and we provide in-sessional and pre-sessional support for international students in key areas which are relevant to their studies at the University of Edinburgh. Okay, for matriculated students, we offer classes and workshops and sometimes materials, if you can't attend classes, for international students at this university who require English language support while studying for their degrees. And our aim really is to help those whose English is not their first language to achieve their full potential here in their studies. So the courses for first year postgraduate research students with English as a second language that we offer are up there. Okay, we've got listening to lectures and note-taking, speaking skills with a focus on how to cope in seminars and workshop discussions. Grammar for academic writing. And reading and discussing academic texts, how to deal with large volumes of academic texts, like journal articles in English. Okay, and we offer also writing a PhD first year report course. Okay, so that's good if you're going to be in your first year of a PhD. Now, the good thing about these courses is that they're all free. Okay, there's no charge if you're a University of Edinburgh student. And all the information about the courses can be found on our webpage, which is there. We have a direct link from the university homepage. If you just type in English Language Teaching Centre in the search bar, you'll get to our pages. Okay, so a little bit more about writing a first year report for a PhD. This course is obviously designed for those research students in their first year, and it focuses on the skills that are needed to produce this report or proposal that students present in their year one review. Okay, that would either be the panel or the progression board. Okay, and by the end of our course, you should have a better of an understanding of how to organize this report. Okay, and you should, in general, also have significantly improved your writing skills. Okay. In your third year of your PhD, we offer ELSIS courses as well, and these are divided into two writing up your PhD courses, the qualitative one and the quantitative one. So depending on what type of PhD you're doing, what your research is like, you would choose the appropriate course. Okay? These are only offered for PhD students in their third year or later. Okay. The writing on here will probably be too small, but this is to give you an idea of how our courses look. Okay, it tells you whether they're online, whether they're face-to-face, how long they last, the duration, whether they're 4, 6, 8 weeks, etc., and the semesters in which they're offered. Okay, semester 1 or 2. You'll notice that a lot of the PhD courses are only offered in semester 2, but the others are offered in semesters 1 and 2 for the most part. If you don't want to do a course per se, you want to do something that's more short-term, okay, and perhaps more concentrated, we also offer a series of workshops, okay, one-off workshops that are about 2 hours long each, okay, and you can come along to those, and those are on academic grammar, writing, listening and note-taking, reading and speaking, and you can book those through MyEd. Okay, so you just book onto the course like you do booking onto other courses. Okay. All the information about our support can be found on our web pages. As I said, you can get to them from the main university webpage by typing in the English Language Teaching Centre or ELSIS, E-L-S-I-S. ELSIS is just English Language Support for International Students. What you should also remember is if you don't have time for a course and you don't have time even for a workshop, you may want to use our independent study materials. Basically, these materials are our courses, okay? It's the same materials we use on the courses, but you can use them in your own time and in your own ways just by studying them yourself. And those can also be found on the relevant ELSIS course web pages. So do remember, okay, ELTC, that's the English Language Teaching Centre, and ELSIS, that's English Language Support for International Students, and those are our suite of free English language support courses. If you want to take an ELSIS course, okay, you may have to take something called the Test of English at Matriculation. Okay, it's known as TEAM for short. Okay, this is used to assess whether you would benefit from these courses. Okay, the test tests your listening and it also tests your grammar and vocabulary. Okay. Again, this information is on our website if it's too small for you to read here. Okay, but basically, you need to take TEAM if you want to do ELSIS if your current IELTS score is below 7, overall. Okay, so if you have IELTS 6.5 or below, then you need to take team. If you already have 7 in IELTS, then you don't need to take team. You can just sign up for our courses on our webpage. Okay. How do we allocate places? Okay, this is also rather a lot of information. Basically, we allocate places on the basis of need. Okay, so we tend to allocate the places to those students with the lowest scores. Okay, if our courses don't fill up, then we'll start filling it with people with higher scores. Okay, you will be told, if you take team, in an email whether we think a course is essential for you. That means you've got quite a low score in it, for example, in listening. If we say you're essential, then we really, really recommend that you take that course. Okay? We might say that it's strongly recommended that you take the course, in which case it's not absolutely essential, but we really think you would benefit from taking it. Okay? We might also say that we recommend that you just use the independent study materials, that it's not really strongly recommended for you, but feel free to use our materials. Okay. When you get an email from us with your team results, you'll see quite a complex table that looks like that. Basically, down the left-hand side, you've got the different courses, and then it will tell you whether we think that's essential for you, whether we think it's strongly recommended for you, or we just think maybe you can use the independent study materials if you like. Okay, so we will guide you as to which courses we think you should do on the basis of your team result. If your IELTS score is 7 or above, of course you won't take team, okay, and you just apply for the courses through our web pages. And we will allocate you a place if we can, if we have any places. Now, before I finish today, I just want to say, if you would like to find out more about our ELSIS courses and you'd like to speak to some of our tutors, please do come to our own welcome event, which is at the English Language Teaching Centre at Patterson's Land on Holyrood Road. And it's taking place tomorrow, Wednesday, okay, from 2 till 4. It's a drop-in session, so you don't have to come for the whole 2 hours. You can just pop in, see what the ELSIS courses involve, talk to some of the tutors, okay, and hopefully get some more information there. Okay, I would say, does anyone have any questions? But I probably have to stop. So you can ask me or one of my colleagues later on. Okay, thank you for listening and good luck with your time here at Edinburgh.